So I've spoken quite a bit about PAULA'S IBIZA from Loewe, one of my favorite designer houses. Are you guys familiar with Loewe and PAULA'S IBIZA? This launched in 2020 and it happens to be one of my favorite beachy fragrances in that it's not your typical or run-of-the-mill beachy tropical fragrance. It's very, very unusual and unique. Highly, highly recommended. They now have a new version of it also called PAULA'S IBIZA ECLECTIC. So we've got two different PAULA'S IBIZA fragrances here from Loewe. I'm going to tell you all about these two fragrances because highly, highly recommended from me. I really love them. With the original being my favorite, but the second one, PAULA'S IBIZA ECLECTIC, is also great. So find out all about these two fragrances. I think they're going to be perfect this coming summer. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about PAULA'S IBIZA and then also PAULA'S IBIZA ECLECTIC. Let me show you the bottles. You've already seen the boxes. So PAULA'S IBIZA, the original, launched in 2020. And then PAULA'S IBIZA ECLECTIC launched in 2022. So let me tell you a little bit about Loewe. Loewe is a Spanish designer house under LVMH conglomerate. So along with Dior and Givenchy and Guerlain and all these brands, they also have Loewe. And I've come to really, really enjoy the fragrances from this house. I find them to be one of my favorite designer houses. Their fragrances tend to be really, really great and unusual, sometimes different than other designer fragrances. And really great designer fragrances, and that's why I'm doing this video today, because I feel like these two fragrances are really, really great. Not many people talk about them, but definitely need to be highlighted, and so that's what I'm doing for you today. Both fragrances are eau de toilette. Both fragrances come in a 50 ml. I have the 100 mls here, retail for $135. I have seen them on Neiman Marcus. I don't think they're selling the 100 mls on Neiman Marcus though, so you can buy them, and I don't know if they're in any physical stores, but they are on their website, Neiman Marcus's website, which if you guys were in the market to buy these fragrances, definitely run it through Rakuten, which I have linked in the info box, so you can get cash back on your purchases. Because I don't find these for sale quite often, and again, as I said, these are going to be perfect for summer wear. They're very unique fragrances, with the original being the most unique. So both of the fragrances were created by Jonathan Anderson, who's a creative director at Loewe, along with perfumer Nuria. So I don't know much about this perfumer, but she has done both of these fragrances, and I think she's done some amazing work with these fragrances. So let me tell you about the first one first. The first one launched in 2020, and it features notes of coconut water along with Galbanum, Mandarin orange, Driftwood, sand lily, Frangipani, vanilla, Patchouli, and Ambergris. So this is a different take on a tropical beachy fragrance. For me, it really does remind me of Northern California coast, in that it doesn't get too tropical and beachy like the overdose of the kind of suntan lotiony smells with the very, very tropical floral overdose. I mean, it has Frangipani, which generally can go in that direction, but I think they're using minute amounts of it so that it doesn't smell like the beach and the suntan lotion and tropical flowers. It's there, but it's just the right amount to not do that. But it has coconut water, and it does have that kind of milkiness in here, not an overdose once again, because for me with this one you definitely experience the greenness. This is coming from the Galbanum note, and that Galbanum note is magic for me in this fragrance, and it totally makes for a very unique tropical wear. And the fact that it has the Galbanum along with the pretty controlled amounts of the coconut water and the Frangipani, it kind of reminds me of Northern California coast. So you do get a little bit of a beachy vibe, but you also get a lot of this green vegetation that's growing along the coast, and to give you kind of the feel of something that's full of greenery or vegetation that's you know, sitting or setting on the coast kind of thing. But for me, there's definitely some touches of aquatic or marine things happening with the Driftwood, because this becomes a very woody and also green experience when the fragrance is drying down. And then there's definitely the idea of a little bit of ambergris, light animalic thing coming in as well with this fragrance. But it's such a beautiful fragrance to wear. It's very unusual for a tropical beachy fragrance. Smells fantastic to me, and I love that they use galbanum to create this kind of a very unusual fragrance for the beach that really does work great. I featured this in quite a bit of fragrances, green fragrances, beachy tropical fragrances, although, as I was saying, it doesn't fully go tropical, but it has tropical touches in it, that it has the coconut water and the frangipani, but they're not being used with an overdose amount of them, so you kind of get the idea a little bit, but then you're swimming pretty much in a lot of greens. Citruses do come in as well, and then when this is drying down, it becomes very earthy, very woody. There's definitely a bit of I believe this has a little bit of sandalwood, which I did not find out from their website, but it does become very, very creamy. And the fact that these are eau de toilette fragrances, both of them are, they have pretty good longevity for me, because they're pretty dense fragrances for the eau de toilette concentrations. They're not beast mode, obviously. We're speaking about a designer here. They're meant to be, consumed by a lot of people in the world, and they're trying to kind of create fragrances that a lot of people will embrace, rather than only have like certain types of people that appreciate these beast mode fragrances. This is not that, but I feel like with what they've given us with this fragrance, it's just a perfect amount, and it smells great. It's unique. It's a bit unusual, as I was saying. It's a tropical beachy fragrance, but going in a complete different direction, going into that green woody direction that I quite like. This is a great fragrance. If you haven't tried Paula's Ibiza yet, you must try it. It could become your favorite new beachy fragrance, because as I said, it's not like everything else. So it doesn't smell like every other tropical beachy suntan lotiony fragrance. It might have light amounts of those kind of touches, but in the end, it's very different, and I absolutely love it, and that's why I'm recommending it to you guys. So this is Paula's Ibiza, the original. And then the second Paula's Ibiza, and this is called Paula's Ibiza Eclectic, this one right here. So this one to me is definitely more along the line of tropical. Definitely acts like it, but with a white flower overdose. So once again, both of the fragrances that I was saying are created by Jonathan Anderson, the creative director of Loewe, and then Nuria Cruelles. And I'd like to find out more of what she's done. Has she done any other Loewe fragrances? I don't know, but these are the only two fragrances that her name comes up. And then both of them come in 100 ml for $135. 50 ml is also available. And I believe the Loewe website, I believe it's the Loewe Parfums website, also might have a smaller size. I'm not 100% sure on that. But with notes on this, we've got orange flower, night blooming jasmine, mandarin orange, black pepper, incense, frankincense, coconut, vanilla, ylang-ylang, musk, and sandalwood. So this one seems a bit more complex, and as I was saying, it does go much more white floral, but it also acts more tropical than the previous fragrance. But the thing with this one is also, when I wear it, it reminds me a little bit of tuberose. There's no mention of tuberose in here, but I feel like there's a bit of tuberose thrown in, like it could be like a white floral accord that's in here. Because when I'm wearing this one, even though I get that beachy vibe, because we've got ylang-ylang in here and also coconut, but I also get a bubblegummy effect here. It could be the orange flower and the night blooming jasmine that's creating this kind of a tuberose bubblegummy vibe, but I've noticed this bubblegummy vibe appear when I smell white floral fragrances, and here it's definitely prominent. So throughout the life of the fragrance, it does get very creamy. The fragrance does appear to have some light traces of smokiness running throughout it with the incense and frankincense, and then spice is prominent as well with the black pepper, this fresh spice that comes in. Juicy citruses appear as well, and eventually it becomes musky and also very creamy woody. The sandalwood in here is the creamy variety, and it's a very smooth fragrance. Once again, we're not dealing with a very traditional tropical fragrance, not like something like Holidays by Mancera, which is full on in your face, beachy, tropical floral suntan lotion. You have traces of it here, because this one also has ylang-ylang, a yellow tropical floral note, but it doesn't fully go there once again. But between the two, Paula's Ibiza And then versus the Paula's Ibiza Eclectic, I feel like Paula's Ibiza Eclectic is the more tropical take on these beachy tropical fragrances, because Paula's Ibiza, the original, is totally green and woody, very light traces of anything tropical coming in, but here with Paula's Ibiza Eclectic, it's got definitely more of a beachy tropical vibe. But in the end, it's very white floral heavy. If you like the idea of white flowers, definitely try this one. If you like the idea of bubblegum, definitely try this one. And if you're a man, I think these are both unisex offerings, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, but I think if you're a man, you might fall more for, I should say, if you're a man and you're traditionally into wearing more masculine offerings, you'll probably enjoy Paula's Ibiza, the original, more than Paula's Ibiza Eclectic, and vice versa also. If you're a woman and you like more feminine fragrances, I think you will enjoy Paula's Ibiza Eclectic a little more. But both of them are very unisex to me. It smells fantastic. Both of them are great, with my favorite being the original, but Paula's Ibiza Eclectic is definitely a winner as well. And also, as I was showing you earlier, the packaging for these fragrances is so amazing. I really love everything about this design work for this. Look at that. We've got the mermaid theme here on this, if we can get it focused. We are having a hard time, so I'm gonna have to cut in some photos, but this is the original Paula's Ibiza, and then the newer one is a little more lush vegetation green, but you've got the fish on there as well, as you can see, swimming throughout it. But beautiful packaging and beautiful fragrances. Both of these are going to be perfect fragrances to wear this coming summer. If you haven't tried them yet, maybe go see if you can smell them at a store somewhere, or pick up or buy some samples to try them out. Yeah, you're gonna totally enjoy them. Now, only thing is, if you don't, you might not enjoy the original because it has galbanum. Maybe you're not into that kind of bitter green vegetal note of galbanum in the original, so you might be turned off by that. And then with the whole bubblegumminess with the eclectic, you might not like this either. But other than that, I think these both should satisfy. Anyway, those are all I have for you today. That is all I have for you today. Really highlighting these two great fragrances from somewhat underrated brand. I don't see a lot of people talking about Loewe, the Spanish designer house. I first discovered them on my travels to Spain in the latter part of the 2000s as a designer house with a lot of fragrances, because when you travel to Spain and you go to their department store, I think it's called El Corte Inglés, that department store, you'll see a whole display of so many fragrances from Loewe. And also recently when I was in London at Selfridges, I think also at Harrods, they have a huge display of their fragrances. So it's a great way to discover new houses, and I really love Loewe. I think they're a great house that definitely needs to be put a light on and exposed to some of you that might not know them. You might find these at discounters, but as I was saying, they are available at Neiman Marcus. And if you're going to buy anything from there, definitely run it through Rakuten, because usually they don't have sales or promotions or anything like that. That way you get a cashback, a certain amount of percentage. Sometimes they're around 4% to 6% to 8%, and sometimes 10%. And even more during the holidays for the cashback with Rakuten. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's review on these two fragrances, Paula's Ibiza and Paula's Ibiza Eclectic. What are your thoughts on these two fragrances? And also, what are your thoughts on Loewe as a brand? Are you a fan of Loewe? Do let me know. Put a comment down below so I can find out. And let me know what your thoughts are on Paula's Ibiza and Paula's Ibiza Eclectic. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.